In today's feature highlight, we're going to be checking out ServiceStack Studio, a friendly user interface where you can explore and manage services, data, users, permissions, and validation to get the most out of your ServiceStack application. ServiceStack Studio integrates directly with your ServiceStack instance and detects capabilities that have been pre-configured. We're going to be showing how to add these different capabilities from an empty ServiceStack template using the Northwind database as an example. We'll walk through how ServiceStack Studio behaves as we incorporate these supported plugins in our ServiceStack application. Before we get started, we want to make sure we have a couple of things installed. The latest .NET 5 SDK, the ServiceStack X tool, and the ServiceStack App tool. Both these tools can be installed using .NET tool install-g and then the tool name. Switching to a terminal, we can create a new ServiceStack web application using the XNew templates. First, create a new directory for your application, navigate into it, and use the command xnewweb Northwind Studio, where Northwind Studio will be the name of our application. Once the application is created, we're going to use the X tool to run the command xmix space autocrudgen space SQLite space northwind.sqlite. By mixing in these three templates, we're adding support for AutoQuery CRUD services, the ORM Lite provider for SQLite, and the Northwind database itself in SQLite format. Navigating to configure.db.cs, we want to change the connection string from memory to point to the northwind.sqlite file. Running our application and navigating to the /metadata page, we can see the AutoQuery CRUD services, which reflect the tables in our database. Now we're ready to run ServiceStack Studio. If you don't yet have the ServiceStack App tool installed, you'll want to install it now with the command .NET tool install-g app. To run ServiceStack Studio, simply use the command app run studio. This will download and run the latest version of ServiceStack Studio. You'll be prompted to connect to a ServiceStack instance and provide a base URL for your ServiceStack application. With our Northwind Studio application running locally, we can provide our base URL. Clicking on AutoQuery, we can see on the left-hand side our generated AutoQuery CRUD services providing access to the database. Already, we can explore and manage the data in the database, including custom filtering, creating, updating, and deleting the data, all within an intuitive UI powered by the ServiceStack services. Next, we'll be going back to our Northwind Studio application and mixing in the auth and auth-db templates. We'll also be adding the admin user feature plugin and uncommenting the sample admin user. Running our application again, we can re-add our base URL to ServiceStack Studio to see we have new user management functionality available. Logging in with the sample admin user, we can create and manage other users. Here we'll create a new employee without the admin role. The employee user can log in but not manage other users as the admin role is required. Next, we'll add support for validation, including dynamic validation that can be managed within ServiceStack Studio. We'll do this by running xmix validation-source and then adding some new users with specific roles. Configure.validation.cs registers the validation feature plugin as well as an ORM Lite validation source which points to our database. Running our application again, when we reconnect, we'll see validation as an additional option. Logging in as admin, we have the ability to add validation rules dynamically. We'll add a type validation rule to query orders and use the quick select type validator to check if the user has the admin role. We'll also customize the error code and error message, which Studio will show in the UI when this validation fails. If we log out and query orders, we'll get an unauthorized error as non-authenticated users don't have roles. Logging in as an employee, we'll see our custom validation error returned when we try to query orders. As well as managing dynamic validation rules from the Studio UI, we can also apply a custom service filter to AutoQuery's generated CRUD services to programmatically apply validation rules. Here we've created a mapping between roles and tables to limit table access to specific roles, as well as limit all write access to authenticated users only. We've also used include type and include service to ignore specific tables and not create generated services at all. Restarting our server with these changes and reconnecting ServiceStack Studio, we can see the limited tables available to a non-authenticated user. The unauthenticated user is also prompted for credentials when they try and edit data. Logging in as an employee, we see additional tables as well as the ability to edit data. ServiceStack Studio and AutoQuery generated services allow for a fast way to get access to existing databases, saving developers time setting up the initial access. Once set up, this empowers both developers and non-developers to manage access and enhance services with validation quickly without a lengthy continuous integration process for small changes. This approach can also be used for prototyping before migrating onto a more flexible code-first approach for AutoQuery, which is still compatible with ServiceStack Studio. We'll be highlighting more features of the ServiceStack framework and tooling in future videos, so let us know what you'd like to see. I hope you found this video useful, and thanks for watching.